Next is a citation of the keynote speaker, and this will be done by Dr. Oga Godwin.
The Vice Chancellor, represented by the DVC ACAD, Professor Roseanne. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to introduce to you a professor of applied biochemistry, so that you know who I'm talking about. Please, Professor Obo, can you please step up so they know who I'm talking about. A round of applause for him, please. It's an honor to introduce to you this simple-looking but not so gentle professor of applied biochemistry at the Federal University of Technology, Akure. He emerged the best researcher according to the 2021 Apadoga Scientific Index. Professor Ganiyu Obo, who became a professor in 2012, joined the Department of Biochemistry, FUTA, in 1997 as a graduate assistant. The same institution where he bagged his first degree in biochemistry in 1992, master's technology and PhD degrees in applied biochemistry in 1997 and 2002, respectively. He proceeded to the Universidad Federal de Santa Maria, Ares, Brazil, for his postdoctoral training in biochemical toxicology in 2005, and his second postdoctoral training in food biochemistry and toxicology at Technische Universität Dresden, Germany, between 2007 and 2008. He is currently the head of Functional Foods and Nutraceutical Laboratory Unit in the Department of Biochemistry and has recommended a cure to diabetes. So nobody dies of diabetes when he's around. He's the director, Center for Research and Development, SARAD, Federal University of Technology, Akure, and our noble institution is fortunate to have him as a sabbatical staff in the Department of Biochemistry. Professor Obo's research works of developing functional food products have become focal points in the research for complementary and alternative therapies for the management of several diseases. This has attracted lots of collaborators within and outside Nigeria. He has published over 450 research articles in referred journals, both locally and internationally, and as well as published conference proceedings and book chapters. He presently has 5 patents and 3 products in the market. It's noteworthy that he is the researcher with the highest citation, or ranked Nigeria's #1 biochemist and second best scientist by Skivel and another international independent Scopus-based survey carried out in certified university in the UK. He was ranked among the top 2% scientists in the world. It is in Nigeria and abroad. He has attracted a lot of grants to his university, through which he has been able to establish 2 laboratories in this institution. The first and only research laboratory in Nigeria on functional foods and nutraceuticals, as well as the largest single laboratory using Drosophila melanogaster for biomedical research in Nigeria. These laboratories have continued to attract researchers from all over the country. Now, Professor Ganiyu Obo has contributed immensely to the life of science research in Nigeria with outstanding scientific findings and good human capacity development. And he is an active member of different professorial academic bodies. Ladies and gentlemen, with a resounding round of applause, please join me. Welcome Professor Ganiyu Obo to the microphone. He's our keynote speaker for the day.
Thank you. So I'm in biochemistry department. Actually, when I was called upon to speak on this topic, I have my reservation. And I will tell you, usually I've asked us to speak on this thing, but most time when you are now speaking to medical doctors, it's a problem. So I know some people will bail me out today because they have their own funny view. In fact, the first doctor that changed my impression about medical doctors' view about herbal plant is Professor Okonofua. He invited my VC, I think 3 or 4 years ago. We were both here when Professor Okunjo came to give a lecture. And that really influenced many things, even in my university. That's why we now have to go and start our herbal garden. And subsequently, we plan setting up a center of naturopathy with UNIMED. We had an MOU. UNIMED, FUTA, and IFE that we want to do center of naturopathy. Unfortunately, we didn't get the grant from NUC. And I know right in that meeting, he said they are going to start BSc herbal medicine. So we want to act fast. So I will be doing MSc and PhD in naturopathy. Because we observed that they do it in Australia, meant for mature students alone. You must be 21 before you can come in. I think that's the requirement. So, I've been asked to speak on herbal medicine, the past, the present, and the future. Actually, this topic is an interesting one. And today, I will not just come to give a lecture, but I want us to see the need. Because it's like somebody dying in the midst of multitude. And that's the case. I know 2 years ago we were in Dubai. I had to challenge the former ES of Tech Fund, Professor Bogoro. We were in a meeting in Abuja. I said, come, why are we deceiving ourselves in Nigeria? Though we claim COVID is going down, that we cannot claim is chloroquine, that many Nigerians are having their pot agbo at home. They drink it. And that's why I say that with all our careless life, the mortality rate was very low. That why is the country pretending? Why can't they put money into such research? That was the challenge. Because and what informed that, I belong to this Lagos State Government Traditional Medicine Research Group. The country was shut down in March. We still had a meeting in February with the then Commissioner of Health. And he told us that this is what China is doing, how prepared is Nigeria should COVID come? For that one we were brainstorming on. When they gave us the various interventions in China, there's one they didn't disclose. They said Chinese herbal medicine. Until tomorrow, China will not tell you the Chinese herbal medicine. Luckily, my student was there then. And I told him, what are you guys using? He said, Oga, we are boiling this in. This is what we drink every day. This is what you drink every day. Let me start boiling it. I will be drinking it every day. You see, and one thing I love in China's system, I love the system. They don't pretend what they want. And in the very first day, I was just a visiting scholar. I told my host that, said, okay, what do you want? I said, I want tea. I was looking out for Lipton. The man just took some leaf in hot water. I didn't even know the leaf I drank. Even in the restaurant, instead of water, there's a leaf they will boil. And that day, Professor Bijoba, the former acting VC, if I said something here, in that meeting, he said it's one of those people that were sent to Ghana to go and study their system. I think you were there, Daddy, sir. I could recollect for study room. You were in that gathering. He said, because Ghana is doing an hybrid now. You see, Mohammed, I'm giving this background just to reformat our mind. Because something about herbal medicine has to do with state of mind. And as long as we didn't reformat our mind, no matter any lecture we give here, is to the dustbin. So, the first slide. Right from the time immemorial, we have been living on nature. In fact, that's where we started from. You get your food from nature, your shelter, your clothing, your medicine from nature. And something we need to ask, there's something we do when we were very young. You wonder who taught us. You go and play football, you will have injury. The next thing you will cut Akitola, have you? Who taught you? Who taught you? The first thing, in fact, you know, we boys are even stubborn. We want our parents to know. And we just keep on putting that plant. If I pray later, they will know by default. And let me now shock you, even up till now I do it. I had a cut just last month. The first thing I did was that to look for bitter leaf around to stop the blood. It was even a public holiday, so I don't know where you will see doctor around. The first thing, I got bitter leaf, I put it, after I stopped the blood, I ran to the lab because I have some preparation, the moringa lotion, the coconut, whatever, I applied it. It was later I told people that this is what happened to me, this is what I used. So, by natural thing, you see us surviving on nature. The DVC account define herbal medicine, so I don't need to define it. I don't need to define it, you have defined it. And I have the same definition anyway. It's just using plants, any of the parts. It could be the leaf, it could be the bark, it could be the roots. For what? For treatment, for diagnosis, for prevention. And so sometimes they call it traditional medicine. I think that was the problem we have. You know, years back, I think that was 1999, I was in Italy. We were discussing Earth for All in 2020. I came with this mind that they said, okay, the problem is in Africa, that how do we achieve Earth for All in 2020? Though we are past it, we are yet to achieve it anyway. And I came up with this, that they now came up with this, our traditional medicine, herbal. I said the problem we have with herbal is this. You must say I should keep quiet. You must from UK. Say, what is wrong? I say, they say incantation, they say this. In fact, I try to create an ugly picture where we refuse to embrace it. You might just tongue lash me that, man, you're not saying anything. And truly, by experience, I've come to realize that many of those European countries, America, they are embracing it very fast. And now, there's something I also observe. You know, when you start doing this type of research, you take time to look out. I observed that in Europe, you can travel 5-6 kilometers and you'll see one type of plant. Whereas in a small area here, you can count more than 1,000. We have high biodiversity. And we are not exploring it. During COVID, my VC challenged me that, oh, but what are you doing about COVID? I started calling my contact. I called professors of virology. This, COVID. He said, what can we do? Each of them started giving me their own version. That this is what we can do. And I called one from Ibadan. Duma told me that, Prof, normally when things like this happen, we ask questions, and she now prescribes some plants, which I started giving to people. If one of my students, our daughter, treated the medical doctor, treated the COVID patient, and she called me and said, Obo, my daughter, COVID. I say, she's a doctor, but I don't know if she will accept what I will tell her. That, tell her to do this, tell her to do this, tell her to do this, that I'm sure the COVID will go. Because I've also consulted with virologists, and they have given me some plant option. Later she called me that, negative. I said, that was why even gave me the audacity to confront the ES, that why are we not putting money on such research? I will tell you, you are not in Nigeria by accident. It's not in Nigeria by accident. And where you find yourself, so those things have been with us. In 1927, already they have formed the society. So the use of herbal medicine, we started with herbal medicine. That's what I'm going to. In fact, all the 17th century, it was growing very fast. Living on herbs. Then, please next slide. When it started to 18th century, there's a decline. Especially with the invention of hydrocarbons. For that's the wahala. Easily we can synthesize one compound, synthesize one compound. You see, there's something, I do a lot of work, Recently, we were talking of artemisinin, because we had the proposal on malaria. We did it together. We now realized that I brainstormed with doctors. Artemisinin will kill the plasmodium. Abi, what about the inflammation? What about the oxidative stress? And you have removed artemisinin, you have left the flavonoids, you have left others that will manage that. That's what we came to realize. And we have estimated that, it was so nasty last year. You treat malaria, 28 days later, you start treating another malaria. We came to realize all those things. That even the so-called pure compound, and can I even shock you? A French guy came to Nigeria. That's why we had to start that research. He picked our students. He said, I want to develop a beverage for malaria. The student ran to me. That, sir, this guy said they want to establish company. I said, this is a smart idea. Malaria is everywhere. So if somebody can buy something like Coke, and you will drink that Coke, you will not have malaria. And may I shock you, that's the principle behind bitter lemon. What do you have there? Quinine. You have quinine. And the man took those students, he took them to Cotonou, where they grow the plant a lot. For that, what we were discussing with the Commissioner of Earth, Lagos. And they said they are going to give us a land that if this thing can grow in Cotonou, it should be able to grow in Lagos. Because the man took them to Cotonou to see the various variety that he want to establish an industry producing anti-malaria beverage. Somebody from France. And you in Nigeria, you are still looking for. I'm just telling you, real. Now I said, let's move on. So that's this. Yes, these are all the story about pharmaceuticals and all those. Next one, please. Now, recently, there's a change in story. Just by default, people are now coming back to embrace herbs. This one is not the doctor's opinion. This is what they want. I gave a talk 2-3 years ago. Doctors were there on food-drug interaction. After the talk, the lady from UCH came to me and said, Prof, how can we work together? We know the drug we are giving to patients, some of them are not working, but we are helpless. And that is true. You take some paracetamol, the headache will never go. Some 2 hours later. So, either the dose is not enough, or you just have ordinary shock as tablet. Also, crazy things are happening with drug today, which is a fact that we have come to live with. Fake drug. He said, yes, we will give that patient that drug. We expect response, but no response. So people are not saying that before you kill me, let me try on something else. So there's this issue of then there's issue of side effect. There was a day I have a friend, he's a medical doctor. We were mates. He now went, I followed him to treat one woman battling with hypertension, this. As we're just coming back, say, hypertension, like they take serious brain. That I manage my mother's hypertension. I said, what do you use? I use this, and the woman is very stable. He said, but the truth is that we know the drug we are giving to them has side effect, but what do we do? And I said, what do you use? And I said, give this. And we have done a lot of laboratory job. We have established the mechanism. We have established the safety. So what we are giving is, we are sure of it. Very soon I will show you some of those products. Next slide. Now, modern herbal medicine. Gone are the days we talk of agbo, aseje, abi? That's the one we don't want to hear, abi? We don't want to hear agbo, aseje, all those stuff. Aseje, you prepare it with your food and you eat it. A woman gave me a story when we were in Germany. He said, She wants to stop giving birth to children. And she was battling her head. The mom said, is that the issue? I will prepare a soup for you. And you will not give birth to child anymore. He said, you want family planning? You don't need the drug. Let me prepare this soup for you. Just take that soup. You will stop giving birth to children. Yes, there's nothing new under the sun. Next slide. Now we have modern thing. That's why I said the issue of herbal medicine has gone beyond if you want it or not. We have supplements. In fact, I was in Dubai last year. Come and see people buying ginger supplement. From Nigeria, go and buy ginger supplement, turmeric supplement, garlic supplement in Dubai. Very expensive. You see Nigerians rushing and buying supplement, bringing it down to Nigeria. No, they will take that because it's from Dubai. It's not from Nigeria. Now, that is supplement. That is even the one. This is beer from Guinness. You have origin now. All herbal, and people are rushing after it. Now, you have, these are Nigerian products, so it's not foreign. So even the multinationals are embracing this stuff. Next slide, please. Now you talk of the bioactive substance. I think that's the area where scientists will come on board. That's why I'm impressed with the center. Though we don't have herbal center, Sarah does the whole thing. In fact, at a point, we started working with the herbal people. We brought them to our center. We said we want to train them. We identified the problem they have. In fact, we have to liaise with Ife Pharmacy. I learned Ife was already doing that. That, because I was there, that those people, they have the right thing. Let us just educate them a little to do the right thing. They are, you know, when we now took them to our garden, we were talking of fibroid. You know, one of my deans challenged me that, Obo, can't you do this about fibroid? He said because my landlady, when I was in Brazil, they have to remove the whole womb when the thing eats the whole stuff. That, is there nothing you guys can do? The man said, fibroid, it's not a big deal. By the time we give the fellow agbo, the whole fibroid will come down on its own. He said, Prof, the man is from Shaki, they will come and plant the plant in your garden. Well, whereas you go open up the woman, if the thing, that they have agbo that can manage fibroid. Next slide, please. Then talk of all diseases, diabetes, cancer, arthritis, obesity, all those things. And can I shock you? Virtually all those things are work on them in my laboratory. And we have even established the various mechanisms. Because most of those drugs, they use one mechanism or the other. And you now check if that plant is doing it. Next slide. Now, herbal medicine in hypertension. I picked that one. I will tell you why. In FUTA, they said that's the common disease among lecturers. Hypertension and backache. So I know my audience will like that. Yes. Even me, there is something I must take before I go to bed every day. Because I'm a workaholic guy. I work a lot. So I can't just leave myself like that. The boy will crash. Hypertension. In fact, the first thing when we started hypertension, I started in Germany, not even in Nigeria. We realized that the first line of drug in hypertension management is angiotensin 1 converting enzyme inhibitor. Look at most hypertensive drug. That's the drug. So what we try to do is to simply plant that can inhibit the same enzyme. In fact, that was the same thing we moved to COVID, because COVID binds to angiotensin receptor. That's the receptor it binds to. So what we did over the years is to identify plants that can inhibit that enzyme. That plant will be a potential antihypertensive drug. Next slide. I don't want to speak. I leave this out for doctors to speak on. Next slide. Next slide. No, I like this slide. Why I like this slide, it shows where Nigeria is. Though it's an old slide, this slide almost tells us that, WHO slide, that almost all Nigerians adults are potentially hypertensive. I don't want to say they are hypertensive. Because this is a WHO graph. And those people in that dark red is greater or equals to 130, the systolic blood pressure. And that's where Nigeria is. There's no even yellow at all. And we have every cause to have it. I don't have any cause to dispute that data. I don't have any cause. Nigeria, we don't have break culture. We don't have vacation culture. Have you? You live here, you go to that, you walk to sleep off. That is, so I don't have any cause to doubt that the data is real. Next slide. What we did in our lab is to exploit these three systems: renin-angiotensin system, prenergic system, and cholinergic system, to see how plants interact with those systems. Next slide. I can just show a typical software in drug prescription for hypertension using the various line: HMG CoA reductase inhibitor, AC inhibitor, cardiovascular blocker. So what we try to do in our lab to see plants that can also exploit all this mechanism. Next slide. Next slide. This is the first work we did on hypertension: ginger and turmeric. In fact, after I had a PhD student that worked on it. After the work, that one led to our bread, ginger and turmeric bread for hypertensive patients. We've been able to establish the safe dose, the therapeutic dose, so that one we now develop a product from it. And because those are the various things we were able to establish in ginger. It has antioxidant properties. It inhibits arginase. Angiotensin inhibitor. You see, we were able to establish the various mechanisms. And with all those mechanisms, we are now sure, though we even use it on rats, and we measure the blood pressure. We induce hypertension, and we see if we can bring it down. We did all those experiments, and we published them. Next slide. This one, Zobo. Zero Zobo. That one, we have, in fact, there are a number of studies that have been done on it with regard to hypertension. It lowers blood pressure. And let me tell you, before I go to bed, I must take a glass of Zobo. It calms you. It makes you to sleep deep. So, daily, I must take a glass of Zobo. When I'm even traveling abroad, I go with Zobo. I will go with the Kellys. If at the airport, I'll tell you, this is my drug. I must travel with it. Next slide. Next slide. Now, this is the one we now develop later. I travel a lot, so we now have to make Zobo into a tea bag. In fact, the student that did these things sold everything off online. And what we formulated there is to manage the comorbidity, diabetes and hypertension. That was the formulation we developed there. Where just take the tea, it will manage both. It will lower the blood glucose. Because the only thing we hide from you, we won't tell you how we generated the formula. But the plants are there. This is sap leaf. This is Zobo. This is Moringa. Those are 3 plants in that thing. But I will not show you the formula. But I can show you the plant. If you like, mix it anyhow. You are on your own. I don't know if it works. And if something else happens, you are on your own. Because we have to do the various formulation, test, assess the safety. before we came out with this. Next, this is the bread. Ginger and turmeric bread. So, I haven't done this thing. So that will tell that what we have done with bread is as a gel. The one you don't want to take, we have put it inside bread for you to eat. That's just the idea. You don't want to take, if they make inside your pot, you will say it's agbo, abi? We now put inside the bread, you will eat inside the bread. So that's what we did with this one. Next slide, please. Diabetes. We have worked a lot on diabetes. Just last week, we got another patent on one of our products on diabetes. So I have 6 patents, not even 5 now. So a number of plants, a lot has been said about plants that can be used to manage diabetes. And people give prescription anyhow. You know, there was a time I was here, I was during one of the matric, because my daughter is here. So I was talking to one of the CMD. I said, I have a product. Help me to test it. He said, the problem we have with your product is that it will lead them to hypoglycemia. That's what will kill them. I said, not my product. State hospital, they know me very well. We Dr. Shaw is here. We normally go there to test product. We go there with our product. That the type of thing we develop, this one is dietary. Cannot lead them to hypoglycemia. Next slide, please. Next slide. This is one of the drugs for diabetes, Acabos. You know, there was a time you rarely get it in Akure because we use it a lot in our lab. What does it do? It will inhibit the enzymes that degrade starch. By so doing, you will have less glucose in your blood. And this same drug has side effect. The side effect is that, next slide. Okay. No, go back. Go back, please. Side effect including gastrointestinal disturbance, stomach distress, diarrhea. And what do we observe? Once that thing has strong inhibition of alpha amylase and weak inhibition of alpha glucosidase, you will have this problem. That's what Acabos does. What we are now doing for is to look for a drug that will have mild inhibition of alpha amylase, strong inhibition of alpha glucosidase. Next slide. This is Acabos. This is the enzyme. This is the drug blocking it from getting to starch. Once it blocks it, so any compound that has this backbone can potentially behave like Acabos. So what we search for in plant is plants that have those compounds. This flavone backbone. You have this thing in your green tea, catechin. They are polyphenols. So once we screen plants and they have those compounds, there will be a good potential for the management of diabetes. Next slide. A lot, bitter leaf is established. We have done that. A lot of things, bitter leaf for diabetes, a lot has been done. It's a well-established anti-diabetic plant. Next slide. This is a product from bitter leaf. No, it's not my own. It's Professor Ezebige's product. But he has US patent. As a matter of fact, the last time I showed it, everybody were looking for him. They want to buy it. He has US patent for this edotide. For diabetes, for prostate cancer, for breast cancer. You know, he did the sabbatical with me when he left the office as VC. I know right in my office, a lady called him that, sir, I use your capsule and the lump has gone down. So it's not that I had it. In fact, many people were trying to get in touch that I should give the edotide. It's from bitter leaf. I know there was time I brought to my university to give talk. Scientists were throwing in toxicology, this, and he gave them a brilliant answer. That when your wife cooks bitter leaf soup for you, will you ask if it's safe or not? Next slide, please. This is our products. we got the patent last week, is bitter leaf flavored alcohol-free beer for diabetes management. In fact, we had TED4 grants to do the project, and the beer is ready. So we got the patent just last week. So this time around, we have to develop a beer. So you have diabetes and you want to drink beer, you can still drink your beer, but it's alcohol-free. In that case, instead of your blood glucose going up, it will be going down, and you will enjoy your beer. So you can see now that the issue of herbal medicine has gone beyond agbo and all those things. There's a major transition. There's a major transition. Next slide, please. Yes, I have two products here. Pablo Wosuwa is here. We had that patent. That's what she did for our PhD. The first one, Kanjan anti-diabetic biscuit. We even did the human trial, State Hospital. That's what she did for our PhD. To develop a biscuit that you are diabetes, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't enjoy your life. Have you? You can eat your cookies, eat your biscuit, and your blood glucose will be normal. So that's what she did for our PhD, to develop such a biscuit. In fact, we have a patent for that already. Then this is another one we developed from, I don't want to mention the plant anyway. It's another PhD student in fact, we haven't done the human trial on that, to develop biscuits for management of diabetes. Next slide. Now, this is another thing. This is ewedu, jute leaf. I didn't know it's that good until when I took it to Germany and I worked on it. I published on it, and in fact, this is one of the leading journals in functional food. We did a lot of job on it. Next slide. The tea is already out. This, I didn't produce it. So you can even use, in fact, my friend even told me that if he wants to drop weight, he eat a lot of ewedu, and the weight will drop. Next slide. Unripe pawpaw, well known globally. Unripe pawpaw is well known for its anti-diabetic potentials. In fact, the first time I got to know, a diabetic patient called me that, Prof, have you tested this plant? Later, I gave it to my master's student. And funny enough, because I used to be a visiting professor to a university in Italy, where I give talk on my research. I know the prof told me that, yes, we know this plant work. She confirmed it. Unripe pawpaw. Now, next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. This is a product already out. I'm not the inventor. So there's green papaya fruit powder. So they're already out. Next slide, please. Unripe plantain. That one is common. Everybody knows unripe plantain is good for diabetes. Next slide. Next slide. Next on. This is a product, noodles. So what we have done is to develop noodles for diabetic patients. I know when we took them for exhibition, they want to buy it. To develop noodles, so you prepare it, you will eat noodles. Because we know diabetic patients, they have limited food. So we want an array of food. So, and what we do, not just plantain, we have also fortified it. So that at the end of the day, that noodles, you will eat it and it will manage your diabetics efficiently. Next slide. You have plantain shields, you have yam flour, that one is common. Next one. This is the bread. My master student, that's what he did for his master's. Anti-diabetic bread from plantain. And let me tell you, without being modest, when the guy went to do his master's, he said, sir, train me on what I can establish, not to look for a job. The guy has the largest bakery in Akure. If you are in Akure, if you are eating home bake, my student is the owner of home bake. So after the training on bread production, medicinal bread, he now set up a bakery, where apart from the general bread, home bake is a common. In fact, they have to ban him from FUTA because students will not want to buy our bread, they want to buy his bread. They now stop him from bringing his product to campus. No, I try to intervene now. I try to intervene because students will prefer his own bread. And he produces special bread on order. Moringa fortified bread, this bread, special bread. In fact, whenever I'm doing my Farmer Food Congress, I place special order. He produced special bread for my Farmer Food Congress. Because in Farmer Food Congress, you only eat functional food. Throughout that conference, you don't eat anything outside functional food. Next slide. So this anti-diabetic bread, this is moringa. It's well known, well established. Next slide. This is the capsule. Next slide. This is the cream we develop. Now, let me just stop there. Why do we develop the cream? It's because of diabetic foot ulcer. It's a problem. Diabetic foot ulcer is a problem. Most time, what you have is amputation. I know there was a day I was teaching my students in class, and I said, come, my wife had ulcer that I normally give her moringa. The doctor approved me. It's my master's student. I said, sir, you mean you use moringa to manage your wife's ulcer? Don't you think that it can work for diabetic foot ulcer? And I gave him as a project. We developed the tea. We developed the lotion. You take the tea, you rub the lotion. And the wound in diabetic rat. Before we know, the wound closes very fast. In fact, there's one we now even develop now. That one is even more. It's one Babalawo Shai that gave us. Because we felt diabetic foot ulcer is a challenge, we must get to the. He said, my dad normally used a plant. That if you have those stubborn wounds that will not heal normally, that there's the root of this plant, that the plant is in FUTA. That once you put the root inside hot ash, remove it, and make it rub it, that the wound will heal up. In fact, one of my students just got PhD on it. And in fact, we published the article just last month in pharmacology. It's actually amazing that rubbing because we generate a lotion. Glucose will be lowered, and we establish all the mechanism that is involved in wound healing. It enhances it. I won't mention the name of the plant. Scientist is not meant to be poor. So this is the moringa cream. The moringa cream. In fact, I had to bring a pharmacist on board when we were doing the formulation. And the lady gave us, said, sir, you cannot use paraffin. If it's wound, you cannot use paraffin. That's why we didn't make it. You know, there's another one that they use paraffin for. That for wound, it will not be good. The lady guided us, and so we have to now, guiding us, though it wasn't easy developing the lotion. And I have the lotion at home now for the past 3 years, and it's still working fine. Next slide, please. Now, there's this one. I don't have it again. Only one. Akalifa. Those women will know it. That one, I applied for patent. They didn't give me. They collected my cream. They use it. My daughter, when she was young, they called this thing Alefo. Yes. And I know they said I should go and look for that flower. That was probably my interest. And the flower, you really see it around. I was driving around Akure to look for the flower before I got one in somebody's garden. And it was like magic. You just boil it, use to bath the child, the whole thing will go. And I said, why can't we make it into a lotion? We developed that lotion. Mothers were asking, and it was working. When I even went for patent, the guy said, give me. They took my cream, they used it, they didn't give me patent. What am I trying to say? In that case, all we have just done is to translate indigenous knowledge into products. That is all. Mothers use this thing. Now, in fact, they said it, many plants are going into extinction. That's why scientists will really come on board. Though I'm going to raise those issues later. Next slide. Yeah, this one. We published this. We shouldn't pretend all. It's the issue of addressing the issue of comorbidity, diabetes, hypertension. And it's very common. Almost 75% of diabetic patients are hypertensive. So it's a common thing. So we now said, let's develop a product that can manage the thing. Just eat the biscuit and your BP will go down, your blood glucose will go down. We have to formulate this product, which is Asha sandpaper leaf. The thing, we have even revealed it. Asha sandpaper leaf. Sandpaper leaf is very good for hypertension. Asha is very good for diabetes. We now have to develop a product that has the two together to manage the comorbidity. And we have to now induce that state in a rat that carries both diabetes and hypertension to see it will bring them down. And it did. It did. Next slide. Now, neurodegeneration. This plant is very popular, but we are going to realize that ginkgo biloba is very popular for azemia. But what we are going to realize, very expensive plant. But what we have come to realize that ginkgo biloba from China may work, the one in Accra may not work. That geographical location affects the activity of ginkgo biloba. Once you inhibit the enzyme, there will be more acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter, and your brain will peak. That is all. So what we have been doing is to look for plants that can do the same job. And in fact, there's one that did a PhD, or I don't even know, they call it Aidon. It's one plant. Very effective. My student used it for a PhD. And what we did, which plant do you use for this ailment, this ailment, this ailment? People with mental problem, people with this, what they call look soyi, abi, what they call me ewe ogbo. Several plants, they tell us, we now come to the lab, try to establish how they work, and now develop a product around it. Then the next slide. We also work on those vegetables. We saw that they are very good inhibitors. Those vegetables, they are from southeast. You can see utazi, editon, and all those things. They are from that aspect. They are very good memory enhancer. Next slide. This one, Parkinson. How do you manage that? You just need an inhibitor of monoamine oxidase. It's the enzyme that breaks down dopamine. That's all. Once you have sufficient dopamine, you won't have problem. So the enzyme that breaks down dopamine is monoamine oxidase. So what the first thing to do is to search for plants that can inhibit that enzyme very well. A good inhibitor of dopamine oxidase will be good in managing Parkinson. And those vegetables I showed earlier, they were also very effective inhibitor of dopamine oxidase. Next slide, please. Next slide. Food-drug interaction. That's one new thing. We observe something now that the doctor will give you prescription. You are taking the doctor's drug. Your mother will give you agbo. And you will take the doctor's prescription. You will take the agbo. You know, we are trying to be real. That is a scenario. There's another scenario. You place your patient on a drug. And you know with the time, the patient will be reacting to that drug at that dose. And yet we want to sustain the therapy. What we try to model in our lab is to take that drug at sub-therapeutic dose. So if the drug will act at 100 milligram, let's see a situation where you give that fellow the drug at 50 milligram and 25 milligram to reduce the side effect, and see if you can use natural product to complement. And we got a lot of fantastic results. I know for diabetes, we were able to establish that by the time you reduce the dose of acarbose, you can augment with moringa successfully, and we give you the same result. Metformin, because you know those drugs are harmful, but the fellow has to reduce his blood glucose. So what we are now trying to do now, let's say station there. Now, let's reduce the dose of the drug. Subtherapeutic dose. Let's see by the time you reduce the thing. Some doctors do that, but they will not tell you. Except if they are your friend. They will tell you, if they are a friend, they will say, okay, why don't you use this plant along, and let's reduce the dose. And I know one of the common plants for diabetes now is moringa. That, in fact, what we have not done in our lab is to go and look at the various variety of moringa, the seed, the leaf. Now see which one is very effective. Because moringas, they are different. Next slide. So we have done, next slide. Now, this is our recent job on HIV. We had TETFund grant. I wish the doctor is here. She's not here, Dr. Alabi. We work together to see how we can control HIV using natural source. We have a grant on that. And what was the hypothesis? I read 2 articles from Medical Hypothesis. Why HIV in Sub-Saharan Africa, and how HIV in Sub-Saharan Africa. And their argument is that HIV is loud in Sub-Saharan Africa because our soil is low in selenium. And truly, when we went through the map of Nigeria, we can see the geographical coloration in HIV spread. We were able to establish that. So we had to undertake a project to determine selenium in Nigerian soil. Truly, the selenium, they were very low, very, very low. And even in the same article, we learned in China, the disease birth in China is those areas of China that has low selenium. So what they now do is to fortify their soil with selenium. There are even countries, truly I observed that whenever I travel to Europe, you will see an okra, it's not from Nigeria, that Europe will import food from countries with high selenium, not just importing food anyhow, to solve their selenium problem. So the first thing we did was to develop a fertilizer, which we have a patent for the fertilizer already. We use it to grow vegetables. You can see them. And we now develop cookies, what we call green cookies. I know we did, in fact, it was just about 2 months ago, we did the same. So it's to give it to HIV patients to eat, 1 per day. To our greatest shock, I wish she's here because she handled the thing for us. The viral load drop. In fact, we always say that we need a bigger grant to look at more population. And there's another one, because Dr. Osho, we are talking, and we are the very product, we soon bring it, another product for HIV. That one is very easy. It's from black seed, Nigella sativa. Because we have done all the mechanism already, it will boost your antibodies, anti-inflammatory. In fact, we have all the background story already established. We have have developed the cookies, we have established the safety already. We have used it for malaria, it works efficiently. The cookies can manage malaria efficiently. And I know that most of the HIV formulation has that same plant. In fact, I know me and Dr. Osho, we are talking that let's see this thing on HIV. Next slide. Now, I've told you all the beauty of herbal plant. They have their own wahala. Number one, side effects. If they are not properly analyzed, you have to establish the safe dose, which is the major issue. That's the major issue. I tell people, nobody is contesting if it will work. What we are contesting, how safe. Nobody is contesting. As a matter of fact, before you go ahead to buy it, it's because you know it will work. But there's one you don't know, how safe. And that's why the scientists will have to come on board. But that's what we're trying to broker with those people doing apps, then that, okay, this thing, we will teach you. We can even help you to establish the safe dose. But whenever I go ahead to examine any student working on plant, before anything, I say, how do you establish your dose? I don't want to know if it works or not. If you cannot convince me on that, there's no point doing the exam. Because there is no point that the thing lowers blood glucose today, tomorrow the fellow dies. So the first thing is how to establish the safe dose. Then the next thing is, another thing is that sometimes it may even affect the withdrawal from working. It may affect, that's why we have to come up with this concept of food-drug interaction. The bioactive substance, is the action antagonistic? Are they synergistic? Are you okay? So you want to see that, okay, this herb you are taking, how safe it is. There's another issue, regulation, which is a serious issue today. In fact, last year when we had our farmer folk congress that were there, it was a major debate. There's this thing we observe today, the high rate of infertility. High rate infertility and erectile dysfunction. And we are going to say that, is it not this abuse of this aphrodisia that is causing it? All those swans in those small bottles, people are just drinking around. No regulation. It's a major problem with herbs. Somebody just sit down in his house, but there's even a story going around, we don't know how far it's true, that some of them will go and buy concentrate in India and put it there, and they will now say they do one herb. Now you are not taking double dose. So the regulatory aspect of it, you know, recently I heard that all NAFDAC doc is to do the safety. I said that's not enough. So then the issue of effectiveness of the herbal medicine, how effective they are, the DVC says something like that. Some of those things, the claims are vague. It's not rooted on anything. It's not rooted. Take this, take this, take this, take this. They are vague. That's why in my lab, one of the things we take up is to be establishing if they are working and the mechanism of action. That if we know that this is how it was, we can, in fact, this same talk I've given it, in fact, I was a visiting professor to a university in Italy. All I'm teaching them is Nigeria herbal medicine. The various one. I had to draw a curriculum to be teaching them the plan for diabetes, teach them the plan. That was all I was teaching PhD and master students. Then, so this aspect should be addressed. The next slide. Let me conclude. By way of conclusion, I have these three things to tell you. I've shown you both sides of the coin. Either we like it or not, the way to go is to integrate this into our modern medicine. We cannot run away from it. I know, even in Germany, I did my second postdoc in Germany, In the hospital, you'll be asked to choose which one do you want. Is it Chinese herbal or the modern medicine? Patients are even allowed to choose. So we cannot we have to integrate it. And let me tell you, those of us in the lab, I'm a lab man, we know anything pathology. If you cannot get the result anywhere, we believe nature will provide the results. We always have that confidence that if you look for the drug anywhere you can't get it, go and look into plant, you will get it. We are that confident because the belief is that when God created you, though I didn't do botany, and I learned what botany says is that when God created you in an area, He has provided everything that you need to survive around you. So the plan for your survival is around you. All you need is the discovery. And that's where the area of R&D comes in. Then government has a lot to do. Bring the stakeholders together. Let's brainstorm. And I do that a lot. I know there was a time a doctor friend came, he said he was referred to me from Ife, that is in nephrologist, that can't you develop a food for us so that we can even, before we get to the stage of kidney transplant, the food they can use to manage their kidney. And we started looking at what can we do so that they will not get to the stage of kidney transplant. So what I'm trying to say here, let everybody come together. Let's look at it from the natural source. You do your own science. And by the time you bring them together, this world will be a better place to live. Let me conclude by saying that leaf vegetable, fruit, and legume spices are not just food, they are medicine. And the earlier we accept that they are medicine, the better for us. Thank you.
I think we can do better. Let's put our hands together again for Professor Gani Obo. Thank you very much, sir. Thing, as we understand, this is a symposium, and in fact, a three-part symposium. And we are going to start with the next one. It is on herbal medicine and public health. The speaker for this part is a professor of public health, Professor Wasiu Olalekan. He holds MBBS degree from the University of Lagos and master's degree in public health, MPH, from the University of Benin. First PhD in public health from University of Central Nicaragua, and a second PhD in epidemiology and disease control from Adeleke University, Ede, Nigeria. A fellow of the West African College of Physicians and the African Institute of Public Health. Before joining academics, he worked with several international non-governmental organizations and public health programming for about 4 years, formerly acting Dean, Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences in Osun State University, Oshogbo. Professor Adebimpe has over 120 publications and 6 books to his credit. He joined UNIMED in 2017 and acted as the head of the Department of Community Medicine for some time. He is currently the Dean of the School of Public Health, UNIMED, Ondo, and the Chairman Committee of Deans, UNIMED. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Professor Wasiu Olalekan Adebimpe.
Thank you very much. The doyen of research and herbal medicine have spoken. So I wonder what I want to tell this audience. But I will try as much as possible to pass message of public health across to each and every one of us. The Vice Chancellor of University of Medical Sciences, the Deputy Vice Chancellors, other members of management, my teachers here present, the keynote speaker, and the doyen of research and herbal medicine in Nigeria, I greet you. All others who are present in this hall, I greet each and every one of us. And I want to congratulate the Center for Herbal Research and Drug Development. This is a very nice one. And I'm confident that it's not going to stop there. The title of my presentation, I'll be looking at it from the public health angle. Public health concerns, public health agenda for integrating herbal medicine into the national health system. Of course, I'm referring to Nigeria. I'm talking about the national health systems in Nigeria. Now, when you see public health here, I'm not talking about what you are learning right now in Bolorunduru campus. I'm talking about where you will take the knowledge to, whatever knowledge you gain from University of Medical Sciences. So please look at the topic very well and have a second look that anytime I'm talking about public health, I'll be referring to the national health systems in Nigeria. So how do we integrate it? What are the concerns? Next slide. So those are the important things that I will be talking about. The outline as presented, but before I talk about that, 3 important things I want to do in the next 10-15 minutes. Number 1, there is no doubt herbal medicine works. Number 2, why is it that clinicians on one side, the herbal medicine practitioners on the other side, we only greet, we don't shake hands, and we don't smile too much? Sincerely speaking, without integration, it may continue to be like that for public health reasons and concerns that we are going to talk about. So medicine, when I say medicine, I'm talking about the conventional medicine. We are not disputing that it's not working. Prof was able to convince us to a very far extent. But what is behind 6 is more than what is behind 7. Most especially when we are talking about the national health system. If I'm wrong, sir, maybe it's the other way around. Anyhow, thank you very much. So the concerns for public health is the most important thing. Whatever discovery, whatever patent, so far we have issues with public health, then we cannot meet. Then we are talking about parallel system, but like I will agree later, and I will come to the fact that the two we have to meet so that we will not only shake hands, then we become friends. So that's very, very important. Before I go into the lecture proper, it's still 15 minutes. I'm going to tell us 4 stories or scenarios. Number 1, one of our teachers in those days, Dr. Abalaka, I'm sure majority of us, we heard about the story. Abalaka and HIV. Abalaka was a surgeon, a medical doctor. The first case of HIV in Nigeria was in 1986. We all know the story. Then it was around 1992-93 when the news of Abalaka getting a cure for HIV, a cure was actually pronounced. A cure for HIV was pronounced. And you see, one thing we found out was that, sincerely speaking, the magnitude of the problem of HIV was more than what was in town then. You know the public health teaching of the theory of the iceberg phenomenon. That is, for every disease, what you are seeing is what? The tip of the iceberg. That is not really the situation. So people started gravitating towards Abalaka. Do you blame them? No. According to the Oyinbo man, if you have HIV today, you are going to die. So if anybody, Abalaka or pastor, says you are going to live, won't you go there? You will. But that is not where I'm going. Despite the fact that he was a clinician, despite all that everybody said, up till today, he never at any time disclosed what was in his herbal medicine. Then it was around 1997 that it was discovered that it was selenium. Selenium, a known immune boosters that is already in the system. We all know the pathophysiology of HIV, all the CD4 count, all the T helper cells destruction. So it was only boosting their immunity, and that was actually what happened. That was not acceptable to public health, number one. The second story, in 1998, I was a young medical doctor then, and let me say, I've never been to Ondo State. So, two friends of my dad actually came, and they said, doctor, that they wanted to come and do what they call ipatioja, all this one that you do something like marketing of traditional drugs. I think they do it around every December. That they wanted to come and market a drug for diabetes. And they were asking me what were the symptoms. What do we tell the media? Because then I'm aware that the media will come and ask them. Then they will talk to the public. You know what I told them? You mean that you don't know the symptoms of the disease you are using your drug to treat? Then what have you done? And that was the end of everything. Number three, my dad himself. There was a day a young boy had thrush in the mouth, this whitish thing on the tongue. So I decided to do our usual abracadabra. I prescribed drugs. Then my dad told me that, Olalekan, would you listen? And I said, yes, I will. Then he asked them to go and bring sugar cane. He asked another person to chew that sugar cane, and that thing that remains, he used it to clean the thrush, and the thing cleared immediately. I can remember very well. Well, I'm not like the first particular speaker. At least I've been able to tell you the name of the drug, everything, yes or no. That's my story number three. To prove to you again that in my presence, herbal medicine worked. And the last one, the last story happened a few minutes ago. The keynote speaker on so many occasions told us there, I won't tell you the name of the drug. Then he said directly to my DVC, I won't tell you the name of the drug. Sincerely speaking, it's a very short story. These are all issues for public health. These are all issues for the national health system. And that is where I will start my 15 minutes lecture. End of the story. Next slide. So the outline, this is about medicine, and I'm sure there are so many facets. He was able to show us so many pictures. Thank you very much for bailing us out. Of course, we all know that herbal medicine is being used all over the world, and 8 billion people all over the world as of today. Over 4 million people have used herbal medicine at one time or the other. That's a lot. That is half of the population of the world. And 80% of those who are using them, they are in developing countries, telling us that herbal medicine has come. Not only that, it has come to stay. Next slide. This is still herbal medicine. And when you look at public health, you know, we own the story of medicine. And I can tell you that herbal medicine was dated to over 5,000 years ago. Yes. Even the Ayurvedic medicine of India and the cedar of India as well, they were all based on herbal medicine. And at one time or the other, these are technology that has actually proven right in the treatment of so many ailments. What I'm saying is that this picture you are seeing, showing us herbal medicine, there are technology that has worked and that is still working, but we have to address all the public health concerns before we can integrate it into the national health system. China has gone far, he talked about that. Nigeria, we have gone far too. Sincerely speaking, I don't know we have gone so far from the presentation of Professor Godwin. Sincerely speaking, I'm very happy, meaning we've moved very close to that integration into the health system. But I'm telling you, everything I'll talk about actually surrounds those 4 stories I earlier created. So let's see. People have so many reasons why they use herbal medicine. And for so many, it is more or less individual reasons. We all know they are using them. It's just like the conventional drugs being used by everybody. Then the question that comes to our mind is, are you talking about there's a parallel health system, the conventional health system on the left, and probably another one, the herbal medicine system, which I will call informal? That is one question that we are going to ask. But because right from beginning, even in India and China, where it is being talked about, it is more or less integrated. So please let us delete bullet number 2. And that's why I put a question there. It is not a parallel health system. We are not yet there in Nigeria because we are still looking at it as a parallel health system. So it is not. And that is why the major reason of my presentation is the need for integration of herbal medicine into the national health system. Let me sound a note of warning now. I'm not preempting. If the integration is not complete, if the integration is not perfected, we will keep on having the same result. Prof told us he was able to talk to some of his friends and colleagues, some clinicians. He got good results with some. Some he didn't even get. Some doctors will tell you, don't even talk to me. Some will tell you all sorts of things. It is because the integration is not yet there, or we are not working so far on the integration. And until we get it integrated, until we stop going the way of Abalaka at all, until we stop going the way of all those, the friends of my father, who wanted to tell me, who wanted me to tell them the symptoms of diabetes, then we'll continue to have the same result. And that's why I keep on saying that there are millions of questions not yet answered. Public health is aware of herbal medicine. There's a herbal policy of Nigeria 2007. We are aware. There is a WHO document of 2002 talking about pharmacovigilance, talking about safety concerns of herbal medicine. We are all aware of all this, and those are the reasons why we keep on the faith that one day herbal medicine on the left, the real conventional medicine, then will now come at a crossroad whereby we'll keep on working together and it will be fully integrated. We are not worried. We are not worried in the sense that we don't regard herbal medicine as an alternative. We don't regard herbal medicine as a parallel health system. And that's why, for Nigeria of today, if you have observed, majority of where herbal medicine apply is in treatment. Don't forget there is diagnosis. Don't forget there is prevention. Don't forget there is rehabilitation. But these are all areas where herbal medicine can be applied. So if we start with treatment and we get it right, then situation will actually work well very, very soon for us in Nigeria. So we are not worried at all, but we are concerned. And that's why majority of my slide will talk about the concerns of public health. We have to remove all those concerns. We'll find out that even if we don't remove it, situation may not work for us very well in Nigeria. So we are highly concerned. And our number one concern is safety. Safety of individuals, safety of groups, safety of communities that herbal medicine can trample on. And that is the essence of public health. For those who are not aware, let me tell you indirectly what public health means. Public health means the whole generality of medicine. Medicine, surgery, ONG, pediatrics, dentistry, just name it. Everything you do in this university is public health. And that is why it's everybody's business. And that's why when we talk about MPH, you have done history, you say come and do public health. You have done library science, you say come and do public, because there is no way everybody must show concern for public health. So when we talk about safety, safety of herbal medicine, that is number one concern that we have for herbal medicine, more especially the way we are going about it in Nigeria and the way we are practicing it currently in Nigeria. But sincerely speaking, I'm not saying that we are not 100% getting it wrong, but we can get it right and better compared to the way we are doing it right now. So, health of citizens must be protected with government taking the lead. And that's why, what is the logo of NAFDAC? Protecting public health. What is the logo of NHIS, the National Health Insurance Scheme? They will tell you, creating access to health. We are talking about individuals. Individuals form families. Families make communities. So that is why we are concerned about the way herbal medicine is going in Nigeria. Next slide. Next slide. So, like a university, what is happening in UK is what is happening in Nigeria, should be what is happening in Nigeria, is what is happening in India, is what is happening in United States of America. It's like a university. But Nigeria, sincerely speaking, for so many reasons, which I may not be able to truly tell you, Nigeria seems not to be too getting it right. You understand? But the health concerns of everybody goes around the world, and Nigeria cannot be left alone. Next slide. Just to tell us more about public health, that's what we do. We talk about causes, we talk about risk, we talk about diagnosis, we talk about where you are taking us. This is public health. You talk about policies, you talk about the health system generally. Just to tell us, in case some people don't know the responses in public health. Let's go. Next slide. Good. This is also in public health. So what we are going to discuss in the next 5-6 slides, I'm sure next 5 slides is all over. How will herbal medicine integrate all this? It is then we are saying that we can integrate it into the national health system. Communities, we are looking at herbal medicine that will fit into the communities, the local government system, which is closest to almost everybody in Nigeria. The local government gravitate into the state to federal. How will herbal medicine gravitate into this? All services, curative, preventive, promotive, rehabilitative, we are looking at a herbal medicine system or health system that will gravitate so that all this will be done. That's another policy direction that public health wants herbal medicine to go. All levels. Community health level, primary health care, which is the global thing, secondary and tertiary, and finally, how do we address all this context? We'll talk about the last bullet later. The socio-economic, cultural, evidence-based. We want a herbal medical system that will satisfy all this. Then we can say no problem. Public health concerns, they are addressed. Next slide. So the first concern is still on the efficacy of those drugs, the safety of those drugs. You know, anybody can come. I can tell you anything. I can tell you anything. I can make any claims. Now, to support the first bullet, I can tell you some of the reasons why they are taking about medicine. Number one is claim. Is doing this, is doing that, is doing that. There's a popular saying that it is that herbal drug that is treating this, that is treating this, treating this. It's not impossible. You are talking about several or multiple focal points of action. But an average clinician will first look at you that this is very unusual because of the pharmacology we learn. But the pharmacology we don't learn, that does not mean it's wrong. So we want to be sure that the pharmacology we learn and the pharmacology we don't learn, the two of them meet. And truly that the drugs, they are truly efficacious. So number one is, are they doing that work they are supposed to do? Don't forget, when you get NAFDAC number today, NAFDAC is not telling, oh, my drug, NAFDAC number 103. It does not mean that it's working. NAFDAC will not give you a number that is working. No. What NAFDAC will tell you is that it is safe. If you drink it, you are not going to die. So the fact that I have NAFDAC number today does not mean that I say it's treating fibroid, so it's going to treat fibroid. Because many of them who will come to market will tell you it's doing this and that, and we have NAFDAC number. It is deceit. So we should all know how NAFDAC works. Where I'm going is not that. The drugs, are they doing what they said is doing? Number two, is it safe for human consumption? Very, very important, because they are all drugs. Those herbal medicine, they are all drugs. Don't forget, when we talk about, is it doing what it's supposed to do, and will it be effective? We are talking about clinical trials. Even Abolaka didn't submit his drug, never to clinical trials. Clinical trials, there are about 4 or 5 phases. I could remember when I was in medical school, only 4. I'm aware there's a 5th one now. What I'm saying is that the first one is you try among animals, yes or no? And that is where majority stops. They will tell you effect of this drug in so-so animal. That is not all. You go to second stage. The second stage means that your drug must go to the next stage in humans with only 500 subjects. The third stage with 5,000 subjects. The fourth one with far more number for like 10 years. So all the drugs we have in town today, ampiclox, amoxicillin, rocephin, all of them, they've passed through the clinical trials. And those are the things that we want our herbal medicine colleagues to do. No physician is after them, sincerely speaking. So far, public health concerns are addressed, no problem. In China, that was how they started. Majority of their drugs pass through the clinical trials we are talking about. So for you now to present to me that effect of this in rat, that does not mean I should use it. And don't forget, there are always ethical issues. Before you can say I should take this drug and use it for a particular patient in clinical trial too, there are a lot of ethical issues. Don't forget the case of Pfizer. We all know about that. When they did a clinical trial in Kaduna without following ethical issues, you know, they paid millions of dollars for that. So we have to be very, very careful and ethical. Most especially when we start approaching our drugs, I mean our friends, who are colleagues, who are doctors, that want to do clinical trials. No. There are 17 ethical principles you must follow. If you don't, you can go to jail. It is in Nigeria that you talk to somebody before you go to jail. Abroad, you go to jail immediately without talking to anybody. You have to be very, very careful. So the drugs, the clinical trials, the efficacy, the safety, the side effect, which Prof talked about, we have to settle it too before your fellow clinicians can come in. There is not a matter of you know me or you know Dr. Osho and go ahead. Osho must be very, very careful. That is just where I'm going. Number 2, educational and training efforts. We will end up with those second bullets because, you see, the conventional medicine started thousands of years ago, we all know. Herbal medicine that came into limelight few years ago in Nigeria may not catch up, and that's why we can start at the level of integration in the nearest future with so much research. Even the two of them, they can be parallel, sincerely speaking. But for now, we need a lot of training, we need a lot of capacity building, we need a lot of research, as in second bullet, before we can say yes, we can remove the public health concerns. In my recommendations, you will see that for now or today, that there is no degree, even in most cases, no diploma that can stand in public. Then where are the evidence-based? Don't forget, medicine is what? Evidence-based. Medicine is what? Evidence-based. Medicine is what? Evidence-based. Thank you very much. The next one, linked to the second. Public health is concerned. Who is a herbal medicine practitioner? Then my dad was a herbal medicine practitioner. He even did one in my presence. You understand? And our father, they do things like that. They will just take one leaf, they will rub it, and the thing will go. So we need a lot of questions to answer. If you say this person is a herbal medicine practitioner, then concern for public health is that what level of education would the person must have passed through? Which school he or she must have passed through? What certificate? So who is the practitioner? It's a concern for public health. And that's why my slide is on what? Public health concerns. If we are able to address the concern, then we can create an agenda into how herbal medicine and the national health system, don't call it public health now, how the two of them can work hand in hand, how the two of them can work together. Prof talk about land sensing. Yes. As of today, Though there are few quacks in town claiming to be dentists and doctors, but let me tell you, the licensing of herbal medical practitioners in Nigeria, who licensed them? Who licensed them to license them? Those are issues. Yes, the issue of license is very, very important. So if you are a herbal medical practitioner, who licensed you to practice? Who gave you that license? Who licensed those who gave you license to give you license? Those are public health. We have to clear all those. Otherwise, all of us will become, I'm not saying quacks, all of us will become practitioners. Let's put it like that. Sincerely speaking, that's another concern that we have for public health. That is very, very important. We have to settle that. And like I said, these are all things that we can settle. They are not things we cannot settle. It is when we settle that we can say, yes, the two health systems, which probably is parallel for now, we can meet. Then we can start talking. So the standard must be there. Don't forget, if they are not there, everybody will do whatever they like. You understand now? Let's say you want to use ewedu to treat pityriasis. I can put my own ewedu as 40. You can put your own as 60. No. If you look at most artemisinin they are talking about, for adult is 80, 480. Let me tell you, almost all artemisinin all over the world, it is still 80, 480. Unless if you are graduating doses for children or for whatever age group, it's still the same thing. So the standard must be there. Otherwise, public health, we are really concerned that if care is not taken, something will go wrong. And like I said, it's everybody's business, of course, but it is the business of government to protect our health. I said it earlier. Like NAFDAC said, protecting public health. Only 25 of the 191 World Health Organization member states have national policy on traditional complementary alternative medicine with safety and efficacy concerns as major issues. Good. Nigeria, we have our own policy too. But look at the second part of the bullet. No, we don't. I've read our policy right from the first sentence to the last, and that's why we don't reckon with it, despite the fact that it is a document from the Federal Ministry of Health. But the WHO document, we all agree with it, is talking about pharmacovigilance. If anybody use ewedu in the treatment of pityriasis, which is a skin discoloration today, and there are issues, where would the person complain? Where would the person go to? What would the person do immediately? Let me tell you, drugs, we all know, drugs, there are a lot of. I've read several research. When you ask them what is herbal medicine, you can only talk about utilization, but the in-depth knowledge of what they have used, majority don't know. The awareness is not even there. The media, they've even created a lot of obstacles. At times, they present herbal medicine as if it's a ghost thing. No. So you can see how you generate the knowledge, how you spread the knowledge, how you create awareness. Those are issues that has to be addressed because they are public health issues. And it is not only even the herbal medicine practitioner that will. Even the health system we are talking about will start from within. Then we can get it right eventually. Let's see the next slide. I've talked about the benefit, the risk, and so on and so forth. The spiritual dimension. I won't talk much about that, but it is on record still that there are quite a very few of them that though they are herbal drugs, you still need to do something. That thing that you need to do, we all know. Another one is intellectual property right. I talk about Abalaka. You can see majority, they are not ready to let it go. They are not ready to let it go. Though, still under international law, you cannot take what is my birthright away from me without dialoguing with me. But sincerely speaking, those who started MP clubs, if they had started like that thousands of years ago, plague, the cause of Black Death that killed millions in those days of Europe, that eradicated half of the population of Europe around 18-something, it will continue to kill everybody up to today. Whereas they don't know that for plague you can use ordinary antibiotics. Even first generation resolve the problem eventually in those days. So, very important intellectual property or right, they should be able to release it to an extent. They should be able to negotiate it for an extent. That is the way public health looks at it, under international concerns and law. Text that herbal medicine must enter before the integration we are talking about can happen. And I will only talk about few of them: policy, safety, efficacy, and quality, access, and rational use. Many of them I've talked about earlier. As a matter of policy for now, so the herbal center should be looking at all this lack of. How do we resolve it? It is when we remove all those, then we can say integration start. Lack of official recognition of herbal medicine and service providers. Is this a problem for the herbal medicine practitioner? Not really. They are not the one to recognize themselves. They are already existing, yes or no? So this is more or less a problem, a policy issue that the national health system will key into. And let me tell you, the national health system in India and China, they've already keyed into that. So the herbal medical practitioner in Nigeria needs to go a little further. Then they will be recognized, expressed.
Another round of applause for Professor Wasiu Olalekan Adebinkwe, the Chairman Committee of Deans and the Dean of School of Public Health, UNIMED, Ondo. Thank you very much for that interesting session. We have gradually come to the last part of this symposium, be delivered by Professor A.J. Adegeye. It is going to be on economics of herbal medicine. That is the topic. And Professor Adeduro Adegeye is a professor of agricultural economics and with 4 decades experience from the University of Ibadan. He retired from the university in 2009 and had a brief stint at Joseph Ayo Babalola University, Ikeji Arakeji. He has supervised 5 PhD and over 45 master students. Professor Adegeye has over 50 publications in reputable journals, technical reports and chapters in books. He has authored 4 books, including the popular Essentials of Agricultural Economics. His current research interest is on resource economics, agribusiness, management, and rural institutions and development. Professor Adegeye has a rich experience in public and international service. Between 2003 and 2007, he served the Ondo State government as Special Advisor on Agricultural Poverty Alleviation. Presently, the Director, Office of Strategy and Program Development, UNIMED, Ondo. Please put your hands together for Professor Adeduro Adegeye.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm not going to waste your time. I know you have enjoyed yourself listening to Professor Obo and Professor Adebinkwe. These are all scientists. I am an economist. There used to be a story of a shipwreck, and inside the ship were an architect, a chemist, and an economist. And they had baked beans inside the ship, but they didn't have any opener. And they were turning to each other to find out how they can open the baked beans for them to eat. Nobody could come out with any solution. Eventually, the chemist said, since there's a lighter there, let us make a small fire and put the baked beans inside. And then put the baked beans on the fire, it will explode. And then the baked beans will come out. And then we can eat. The architect said, no, we must build something on top of it so that when it explodes, it will catch the baked beans and then we can eat it. Then they turned to the economists. Are you listening? They've told him before there was no opener. Is that okay? He knew there was no opener. He then started by saying, well, gentlemen, let us assume that there is a can opener. So the economist is somebody who goes on to assume things. And I'm very happy with the lecture that we had. and challenging the scientists that are here and challenging the doctors that are also here. You'll be wondering why some of us who are economists, actual economists, came about doing this. And I will see quite a bit of what things I've done. Because most of us in the universities do a lot of research and publish a lot of papers that end up in libraries there. Nobody is touching them. And that's the problem we have. And we cannot let that one happen in herbal medicine. And that's why somebody like me that didn't study science but went through economics to agricultural economics, I became a professor in that discipline, trying to go into herbal medicine. I'm a prince of the royal family. My grandfather was herbalist. He was a great psychiatrist. Nobody was brought to him who was mad that did not go back home. So we knew that one. And I helped him in collecting herbs when I was young. And I was always wondering why at my age I would be able to pick my own leaves. It was recently I discovered that virtually every plant that you see here has some medicinal value. I was giving lectures to them in Jabu to some CSC pastors about my production. And the pastor said, let me teach you one. And I said, which one? He said, do you know why you are standing there? He said, there is a type of grass in that place. And I said, yes, sir. He said, you look at it properly. I look at it. He said, if anybody has any toothache and he takes the plant and boils and uses it to just wash the mouth and so on, in 2 or 3 days, that toothache will go. Of course, I believed him because a pastor said it. So then, just a few months later, I met my security guard. He was sitting by the gate. I said, what is wrong with you? He said, I said, what is wrong? He said, he had toothache. And I said, okay. Luckily for me, right from the place where he was talking, the grass was there. The grass was there. So I said, okay, you just take this grass, go and wash the thing, boil it, and then just use it to wash and throw the thing away. And then about 3-4 days later I came, thank you, sir. He said he has gone. So a grass that is a weed to us because it's disturbing us. But inside it is that thing that is there that could cure the toothache. So the man, up till he left, he wasn't doing like this again. He was always right. Now let me come to where I came into the herbal medicine, because I thought, before we talk about the medicine, because all the things we are talking about, the only thing that made me to be interested in this, after Professor Okonofuwa had encouraged me and the new Vice Chancellor, is the very fact that from herbal medicine, this university can pay half of the salaries of teachers within a period of 3 years. Clap for me now, all these people. What is it? Yeah, because if he didn't say that one, I won't be too much encouraged. Is that okay? But he said, come, I want to make sure that we can pay the salary of teachers, almost half of it, in the next few years. And I said, herbal medicine is one way of doing it. You know, all the things that Professor Oba was saying, and discovery and so on, another one. You need a lot of things. You need economists like us. Because if you look at this one, there's a book written by Professor Ojugbemi. It's available for 4,000 naira. It's about almost 700 pages. Only about 5 pages were devoted to economics. All the others are about scientific discovery, this and so on. But we as applied economists, we believe that we can turn all this into money within a short time. So when I went to India some 10 years ago, I went to Biotech Institute. And I got there, and they told me that they were multiplying 1,000 medicinal plants. So I went around. I saw one. I said, Director, I'm interested in this. What do they call it? They call it brain tonic. He said, why are you interested in brain tonic? I said, technically and basically, most of us in Nigeria, where I come from, are mad people. I said we are mad people because if you see the Okada rider, he's riding like as if he's mad. If you see the taxi driver, he's a mad person. Then if you go on and then you say you want to go to the market, you are in trouble. If you get there and you talk to the market woman and you don't know how to talk properly, he will insult you from your head to toe. Is that okay? Then he said, is that all? I said, there's only one left. He said, what? I said, the nurses in our hospital. So that's why I was able to bring back from India the 2 plants that eventually had come to be made into what they call Centella lugica. Centella asiatica is a product from India. It has been used for over 1,000 years, and I didn't know what to do with it because I told you I'm an economist. But going to the internet, meeting people, because as a professor, they expect you to know everything anyway. If you're a professor, they think that you know everything. So I started practicing and so on. And I can tell you, for the past 4, 5, 6 years, we have been producing and using this one to solve dementia, which is very common, diabetes, arthritis, ulcer, and a few other things that happen to people around. Now, what they asked me to say about this is very simple. If you see the amount of money that is being siphoned from this country by the people who bring in the herbs that we are buying, and the Chinese and the Indians, and then I'm told now Vietnam is also entering, as it's going to give us, they are in millions of dollars every year. Is that okay? Yeah. I thought, okay, let us see whether we can have the slide on the Centella growing on the field. Now, before you can go on and say you have to be able to practicalize what we are saying here. For instance, I brought 2 stands of the plant from India. Can you see? 2 plants of the stand from India. It took me 5 years to multiply to a level in which you can produce for use. So if you are talking about the cost of something like that one, you look at what it has happened. Is that continuously for 5 years for me to be able to start producing? Is that okay? To producing and expanding until I was able to get, is it there? Yeah, it's there. It's there. It's a brain tonic plant. I brought 2 plants there, but today I've multiplied to more than 1 or 2 million plants. Not trained anywhere. To me, a babalawo of his thought, to the children who are orthodox, we are already in it. But the problem is here, and we're happy today you are here, is that we must be able to encourage those people who are studying orthodox medicine to know that according to what we have seen today, that the herbal medicine should also be encouraged. And that was one of the reasons why eventually we got this center for herbal medicine, and I was always going there to worry the VC that was kind enough to approve about 8 million naira for me to produce Centella. But I said, no, it is not time yet. Let us see whether the department, the center, can itself use part of that money to develop itself first. So before you can go on to go and do a collaboration. So, to be able to say the economics of this, let me tell you one thing. I won't say much. I just want to stimulate you to the very fact that by the time you leave today, you'll be thinking about us. There is no way in which you go into herbal medicine and you face this that you will not be better off, even if you are an agriculturist. This with me for the past 2-3 years, and we have been using them to solve the diabetes. But that's not even the thing. This one that I said I brought from India, the highest paid money for cocoa is 1,200 naira per kilogram. Is that okay? Is that okay? Are you hearing me? Yes. Okay. Which means it's about 1.2 million per ton. Do you know if you produce a ton of this one I'm holding, do you know how much money it's going to give you? 100 million. And I'm not joking. A kilogram of this one, a kilogram of the powder, can produce 100,000 capsules like I'm holding. So a ton of it will produce 100 million. Our salary is only 70 million in a month. So this one product can pay for 1 month. Yeah? It's only 70 million. Our salary in the university here is only 70 million per month. So of course 70 times 12 is plenty. But at least one product that we know, one product that we can work. But before you can do that one, there's no way in which you will not employ more people. There will be more jobs for people. There will be outgrowers that are going to, because there's no one person that can go around, for instance, to say, I'm going to produce up to 1 ton of this, because we need almost about the size of this our university here to be able to produce the 1 ton of this particular product, because it's a slow growing plant. But to know that one, that what do we now have to do is to make sure that the doctors who are training, the doctors that are in the hospital and so on, also appreciate the herbal medicine. And when they are talking about overdose and so on, do you talk about overdose of tete and shoko and ugu when you are eating it? You don't talk about that one. You don't talk about, so why is anybody, if you eat too much for what is going to happen, you know that one ordinarily. So if you go out, you want to eat more. Like I gave my daughter who was studying medicine, a colleague of us wanted to do an exam, and they said this was a brain tonic. He was just eating the thing. Of course, he ended up by going to the toilet. So, but that's not it. It's supposed to be a gradual development and so on. So, if we are looking at the researchers in the place, we are no longer inventing the wheel. Ewuro has been there all the ages. At the background of all our mothers and grandmothers, it is there. But they didn't know what to do with it. They knew what to do with it, but they don't know what it does to the body. But already we know now. So there's no need, for instance, spending so much more time in trying to, what I've done now is I've established, bitter leaf plantation by my side, so that I can pick from the place and prepare my own things. So you need to be able to go from the laboratory that we are having here to go back into practice. And when you go into the practice, you will then discover that you need a lot of efforts to be able to plant. Okay, you raise nurseries, you plant them, you dry them, you sieve them, you package them, you design the packages and so on in the place. All right? And again, they told you one, and it's very simple, is that food is medicine. Food is medicine. Is that okay? If you eat well, you probably will not be able to go to the doctors frequently. I have a consultant physician who is a colleague of my daughter. I saw him last 5 years ago because I didn't need to go to the hospital. At 77, I can stand with you here and talk to you here for the next 2 hours without drinking water and without falling down. So what we need to do is that we must now identify a few plants and a few diseases that we must be able to be known for. It's not that we should go all the whole length of all the diseases that we have. Some of the common ones are dementia, for instance. Some people at 50, when they leave their sitting room going to the bedroom, they forget what they are looking for. Yeah, it's there. And then you have somebody who has ulcer, he said this and so on. You have somebody who has hypertension, he said almost everybody has hypertensive this and so on. So we have them there and use them. But we as university must identify certain products. Is that okay? We cannot be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It won't go to anywhere. We must identify a few ones in the place, and then we must be able to study it and find out how much it costs. For me, for instance, to be able to get the cost of this one, I also went to the internet. The internet sells my product for $10 for 100 capsules. I sell my own for 4,100. You know why my own looks a bit cheaper is that America does not produce it. America brings it from South America. It brings it from India and so on. So that's why in America it's a bit more expensive than what I have. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to waste too much of your time. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you. We want you to be stimulated about the herbal medicine. That is something that is going to be realistic, and that we can all become even millionaires in it. Because if I say we can produce a ton for 100 million, why are we not interested to say, Oga, how are we going to go about it? So that you come right away, and then we start making from that place. May God bless you all.
Applause for Professor Adeduru Adegayi. Thank you very much, Prof, for that one. And that will be the size of that symposium on herbal medicine, the past, the present, and the future. Next, we are going to take comments, questions from the audience here or from the guests that we have online. We can take like one or two from online, then we take others physically here. From the director of the Central Office for Research Development, UNIMED, Ondo, called Professor Olumide Ogundansi.
I want to, first of all, appreciate the center, because this is a very, very helpful, useful program. I also want to thank the speakers, all the three of them. But making a comment on Professor Adegayi's just concluded talk, which I think really serves to bridge the gap, between some of the issues that came across to me as the different speakers were speaking. Then I also want to thank Professor Adebimpe for very eloquently articulating very important issues. There are really very important issues there, but he has very, very well, shown us what I would call, the pathway to fostering integration along the way. And I must say that indeed, I think UNIMED is very much positioned to be able to address some of these issues. One of the things that really impressed me when I began to teach pharmacology in the university here was that there was actually part of the curriculum where we're talking about traditional and herbal medicine from the aspect of pharmacology. So I want to thank you for that. Now, most of my comments and question goes to Professor Obo, and that was why I was so eager to see that he was still around. I must say that, again, each time I listen to this gentleman speak, I'm always very impressed. He thinks outside the box, and he's a very, very innovative scientist. In fact, as I sat down there listening to him, I was thinking that this is our own Elon Musk here in Nigeria, who is on a trajectory to rolling in billions of dollars as the year goes by. Which brings me to a very important question. As you were making those presentations and showing those very, very unique products, I was excited to see how science was being translated into a useful product. That's the whole lesson of science, not just to generate knowledge, but to generate knowledge that can be applied, in society. The question was, all these fantastic products, we are not seeing them in the market to the extent at which one would expect, and where the potential benefit to society and economic benefit to you and your team, the people that did the invention, will become, evident. So the question is, what is the barrier to scale up? Is it funding? What is the barrier? Is it an opportunity for startup entrepreneurship where you can have investors who would put in resources to help you scale up, so that when we go into supermarkets across the country, or pharmacies even, some of these products, we'll see them there. In Europe, as you very well know, I was surprised to see some of the things that we call agbo here. They package them as herbal tea, and you buy them for a lot of money, like Switzerland and the rest of them. So what is the barrier to scale up and to taking this products on an entrepreneurial scale and really reaping in the benefits economically? Thank you.
a card or a question from Professor Rosaje Laumba.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the three speakers for the wonderful job done. I just want to, something came to my mind when both Professor Bo, especially Professor Bo, was giving his talk. How does personalized medicine, which is a very important topic in pharmacology, how can we incorporate it to herbal medicine? Because I know that individuals react differently to drugs and also to herbs. I remember I had a personal uncomfortable or unfavorable experience when moringa was in town raining. He could do all sorts of things. I had planted a tree of moringa in my compound. It was growing well. I was every morning using the leaf for just tea, and it was so fine. My headaches disappeared. I was feeling cool. I was so happy with moringa, and I said, wow, this thing works. But along the line, I started having nose bleeding. All sorts of scans, brain scanned everywhere. There were x-rays, everything, high-tech, because I didn't know what was wrong with me, because I never had it all my life. They asked me all sorts of questions. Are you taking aspirin? I said no. Are you on drugs? I said no. Are you, because moringa to me wasn't a drug, so what, I didn't even think about it. So this thing persisted. I was still taking my moringa, and I said maybe it's an old age thing. Maybe when you grow, something happens, triggers something. Until one day, I was discussing with one of my friends that was also into moringa. She said, you know, moringa is a blood thinner. And I said, ah. And he said it works like garlic or any other thing, like a blood thinner. And I said, okay. And that's why it's very good for high blood pressure and things like that, because it thinns off the blood. Your blood flow is fantastic. You're so okay. And I remembered that there was a time my daughter started taking garlic, and she started having nose bleeding. And she stopped it, and it stopped. And I said, wow, okay, let me just try this. Maybe it's the moringa. And I stopped moringa. And up till today, I never had that nosebleed. It stopped. So we should be careful when how do we incorporate, how people, I don't know whether anybody had reacted to moringa like that, but I did. And it might affect people differently. So when we are formulating bread, we are formulating beer, we are formulating this, individuals might react differently. How do we incorporate that? Because now personalized medicine is very important. I might react differently from another person. And it's also, some people don't take some particular fruits because they're allergic. Some people don't take peanuts because they're allergic. Some people don't take milk because they're allergic. How do we incorporate this to herbal medicine? It's very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. I was really inspired, and even Professor Adege's presentation. I want to say that herbal medicine how will I say it now? It has less tissue invasive. And involve minimal damage to the body tissue, and this as a result because it's natural product, and so it's less invasive. Like for example, you take bitter leaf, you can keep taking bitter leaf for 40 years, and it may not harm you. But if you continue to take orthodox medicine for 5 years, for 6 years, you will see some side effects, and that is the good part of herbal medicine. But the major problem I want you to clarify, sir, especially you, sir, is the issue of contamination. Issue of contamination, because so many people, come around with herbal medicine. Even those you don't necessarily have to be educated, actually, to know herbal medicine. Because I know my father used to, he wasn't educated like that, but he used to also prescribe some of those antibiotics to people, and they come from different places. And so, but the issue of contamination, adulteration, and misidentification, okay, is something I want you to talk about. How do we do away with that? And then another thing is the complexity and non-uniformity of ingredients. Non-uniformity. I think, you take some today, it might work for you. If you take another one, it's not going to work for you. And dosage. You talk about dosage in one of your products. You establish the dosage, but I don't know how many of those people that are involved in herbal medicine, practitioners that are actually come out with the dosage, because we just take everything. We don't know, even the agbo we take, we just pack everything, dongoyaro, everything, and we don't know the dosage. That's what happened to DVC Akkad, because yes, it was taking moringa. I'm not very sure the dosage was not prescribed. So how do we do with that issue? The last thing, sir, is that most herbal medicine practitioners don't tell us the mechanism of action. And there is no way we can go further and actually make it a global medicine without knowing the mechanisms of action. For example, we talk about bitter leaf. Bitter leaf, they said they've been using it for anti-diabetics. Some people argue that the bitter leaf has a complex carbohydrate, and so the enzyme is not able to metabolize it at once, so it's releasing it little by little. So at the end of the day, you think that your blood sugar has come down. There's some whatever. But the people that say no, that is incorrect. What is the mechanism of action? Is it a type 1 diabetic that is facing? Is it a type 2 diabetic? If it's a type 2 diabetic, is it inhibiting any enzyme? What is it doing? So those are some of those things I want to ask. Thank you very much, sir.
I want to appreciate the three speakers for the job well done. My first question goes to Professor Obo. I know that you are a very experienced man, and then you've already did a lot of work on this herbal products. But I want to know one thing. There are some of us that have already do certain, maybe very preliminary work using herbs in certain area. For my own, the one that I did, I saw results. But something came to my mind that I want to find out the bioactive compounds that actually work. And you as a biochemist, I know that you probably, what you did is that you did the phytochemicals analysis, and then you pinpoint the one that is working, because that is the area I'm going. So I don't know whether it is a exercise in futility, or you can encourage me to continue. That's what I want to find out from you. My next question goes to Professor Adebimpe, the public health expert. In animal medicine or animal public health, that's what we call participatory epidemiology. I don't know whether there is anything participatory epidemiology in human medicine. If there is, what is the goal? Because the goal of participatory epidemiology in animal health is that they want to work with that traditional people, work with people who use herbs to know and pave way forward. The third question will be general. Is that we have some herbs that before it can work, you have to add animal tissue to it. What type of medicine can we call that one? Is it traditional? Is it herbs? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Can.
Okay, I'm from Milton. Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
I'm Professor B. University of Benin. I'm a professor of OT, and I've seen the list of participants. Most of my professors are there, who are Professor Dukoya, and some of our other colleagues in pharmacognosy department. See from the scientists, the organizers, I am lecturers, I feel that some of the questions that have been asked today, Will that be effectively addressed? One pharmacognosis as part of the lecturers. I'm saying this because of the fact that we work basically on herbal medicines, and we work on herbal getting information, we extract, we isolate the major constituent. We equally go of the way to praise them, to evaluate them when they are probably supplied in powdered form or form. That will have answered the question that the last person asked, as per how to know the ones that see in many drugs do not just, some could be big. How long take them to start having seen this? I'll give you an example. In addition to what we're taking herbal-based material
from Professor Obo and the team, have you done any research to either substantiate the effect of this incantation or time of removing these leaves or roots or back of the tree? Is there any link? Is there any scientific link with it, or is just a kind of abracadabra? Thank you very much.
The keynote speaker and the other speakers at the end of the day to have further chats with them. Now let's start with Professor Obo for answers to these questions.
Probably I'll come down the presentation. I will start with the first question, which is a very valid one, which is the issue of market barrier. Actually, I rushed into market with a product and I ran into trouble. Which is the ginger and turmeric bread. What the VC did then was a brought some facilitator to interact with me, and we showed him some of the product. Then the man eventually brought an investor. But we didn't patent it. So, that is what is even restraining us. That before we can go into any business deal, we must own the patent. Like the beer, I know when we were having this industry university exhibition in my university last November, we brought the beer. Many people expressed interest to invest on it. We said no until we have the patent. We were in an exhibition in Lagos, a hotel, oil and gas. Not planning that what is wrong with you people? You are disclosing your information freely to a company. A disclosed information cannot be protected. You know, I said something that I will not tell you because we have a plan to protect it. And once it's in the public domain, there's nothing you are protecting again. Those are for intellectual property talk. So, actually, there are barriers. Getting good investors, even like the one we gave to pay now is a problem to the university. We have to be dragging in because you have to pay certain amount to the university every year. And some will go to the faculty, to the department, to the inventor. So there are issues. When we talk of Nigeria, there are real issues. So what we try to do in our center is to see how we can, but that was what we did in the last time, to bring investors, bring the scientists, let them meet. They express interest in some product, like the beer. Many of them express interest on. We told them we cannot release the beer for now until we protect it. After we protect it, we can now talk on how you can invest on it, and we have our policy on how to share the profit. The university has a policy on that. What goes to the investor, the inventor, the university, the faculty, the department. Everybody has a share of the profit that comes to it. We have that policy on ground already. Then personalized medicine. It's possible. I've done a lot of job on bitter leaf. In fact, what made me to work on bitter leaf is because I react to bitter leaf. It's not because the first time I remember I ever fainted in life was when my mother gave me bitter leaf. So since then, when I became a scientist and I've won several grants and I'm still working on bitter leaf, yet I can produce alcohol-free beer with diabetic with bitter leaf, but I cannot drink it. Rather, I have another version, which is not bitter leaf, which I use another plant to produce the beer. I drink that one because I react to bitter leaf. Then I will now give you another case. Zobo. One of my students got PhD on it. There were a lot of write-up on Zobo, what it can do. It will affect you. It affects attainment of puberty. It affects this. So the first thing I asked them to do, go and establish if those claims were right or wrong. She did those things. Let's even assume those claims were right. What can we do in a formulation to counteract the side effects? If it can cause this, if this plant, say for instance, they said it will affect fertility, moringa will boost fertility. So when you now put moringa and this thing together, they can neutralize their effects. This thing will do it in the lab. So, and even in my lab now, we don't just stop that it does this in big days. We go as far as gene level. Expression of certain enzyme, repression of some expression. We are now into an area of nutrigenomics. I knew that some plants we worked on, we realized that, like, I think we got one recently, moringa, that it is good for hypertension. It's called that it never enhanced the expression of, it doesn't have anything to do, on gene level, it doesn't affect ACE. That means it's at the level of proteomics, not at the level of genomics. That's what we discovered in our lab. Protein leaf, we realized that it will affect certain type of angiotensin, it will not affect some. We have discovered that one at the level of gene. So, likewise for, just like the way you have for the normal drugs, you can have personalized for herbal. You know what I would just say here is that it's just like why I say people, like the people that sell meat. We have animal scientists, we have professors, we all go to the alakpata in town to buy it. Nobody has told the alakpata you can do it better than this. The problem we have with herbal medicine is that it's still left with the local people. Nobody has told them how they can do it better. And that's the area I fought scientists. That scientists, we are the one that will tell them they are doing it based on what they know to do best. I will give you a case on HIV. I met the woman in UI. She went for postdoc in Japan. She now said this herb, she took it to Japan. They plan to patent it. It works, this agbo, it works for this chickenpox, smallpox, and actually, it actually worked. I read through the paper. She didn't disclose the formulation. I now confronted her. He said, yes, that actually, that herb, his uncle used it that has HIV. And he tested negative. He now took the remaining to Japan for our postdoc. He now said, she said something that shook me. He said, then the Minister of Health, Adewale, gave UI money to go and investigate that herb. And they discovered the thing actually worked. What happened? What really led to this argument was that the Baba said he would not release the herb anymore. That UI took money, they didn't give her any money. And I said, Baba, you shouldn't die. That rather, Baba, go and patent it, protect it, and you cannot give it to a pharmaceutical industry. What am I trying to say? Nobody enlightens those people. If I tell you I got to the word of patent, I don't know about patent all along. until I went to NOTAP office. The then DG showed me a product, that this is a product, very interesting. I said, I developed a better product during my PhD. He said it's only known to you, it's not known to anybody. That's why I know that when you develop things, you protect it, you commercialize it. Otherwise, it will just be at the level of publication. Contamination, very valid. In fact, it's a major problem, it's a major challenge. Yes, you are taking the plant. A lot of things are in the plant. We have polluted soil. You may treat diabetes and you may start battling with kidney problem later because of the contamination. That one cannot be faulted. And that one, can I shock you, it goes beyond the farmer. It goes beyond the farmer. It's a national issue. I did postdoc abroad. I had worked in several labs abroad. In Nigeria, I will just tell you, even in our labs here, you use the chloroform, you throw it outside. You use the methanol, you throw it outside. You use this one, you throw it outside. Nobody will do that abroad. You evaporate in the sun, have you? Nobody. I'll just tell you a simple story. You know, when I was in Germany, along the line, my children became anemic. I say I can understand. I told my wife I can understand that in Nigeria we don't drink purified water. The water we drink is full of iron. That the children doesn't need any blood tonic. We will throw our tin outside, iron. That the soil is full of iron. Our water is full of iron. But we are drinking a water here that doesn't have iron. And truly I discovered that where I went to in Germany, everything they sell fortified with iron. So contamination is a valid point. That one is another thing we have to contend with. In as much as you are saying it works, the environment, a lot of things goes to the environment that becomes part of the plant. And that one is another serious issue on its own. And funny enough, the level of contamination will vary from location to location. So it's a serious issue, and that will have to require national policy. Adulteration, I said it, that one is even a serious one, because already that thing is common now. We were told most of those so-called herbal claim, they mix this thing with it. They mix, in fact, a lot of stories are outside there. They will say it will give you energy. They will put a paracetamol inside, and they won't tell you there's paracetamol. Instead of 100 milligrams, they will make it 1,000 milligrams. All those things, already there is that claim outside. But let me tell you what we can do. Then I will now challenge my friend from public health. I was in Slovenia. What they do, at random, scientists are employed. Go to the market, collect foodstuff, collect this, do random analysis. There's a lady, all she does is that go and buy groundnut, check for aflatoxin. That's what she was employed to be doing. That we don't do in Nigeria. Nobody check anything. Randomly, some people should be employed. They go to the town, pick food, pick drug, even the so-called paracetamol. Check if the claim is correct. Sage. That is one serious issue with herbal medicine. And I know Ife is doing a lot, because I used to visit this, their Center for Drugs Research and whatever. I visit them. Even the director is my friend. And they go to the villages, interact with people. That is the only way. We have to teach those farmers. We have to teach those herbal people. It's not enough that this thing is working. We have to even assist them. If we can assist them to do the dose, we can assist them. My own opinion is that they are doing the thing based on all they know. Truly, I've interacted with them. They come to my center. We talk. They are ready to learn. That's what I observe. They are ready to learn. We've met with them, and they said they are willing. They want to know a better way of doing this thing. They own up to that effect. So, then, the issue of non-uniformity is we that we teach them. Till tomorrow, they will only do it the way their father what their father told them, and illiterate. That's why I give an example. We all go to the market. Even the professor of animal science, he will see the man alapata, driving flies, you will queue and buy the meat. Yes. Nobody has told that alapata, this is how best to sell your meat. And we can come and complain, but nobody has told them how best to do it. That's our job as scientists. Mechanism of action. In fact, that's what I do more. In fact, my major interest in HERBAL is not the therapy, it's how it works. I'm a biochemist. So, my interest, that's why it's called that any plant wants to establish this thing. Now, the drug, take for instance hypertension. What is the therapeutic target? Is this HMG-CoA reductase? We want to find out if the thing can inhibit it. I know we got a TEDFund grant recently. We have to translate the knowledge of hypertension to reducing cholesterol in bods using apps to inhibit the enzyme. In fact, my wife will be giving a talk in ABP because now my wife is an animal scientist. She's into organic farming. How do we get on it? We gave our boss vaccine, they all died. And I said, this one, losing boss to vaccine, we cannot continue. We can use plants now. And since then, we have been using plant extract to manage our poultry, and they are doing well. Now they say, she come and train women on how you can use plant extract for poultry thing. So the issue of herbal medicine has gone beyond human. Even in livestock, I'm having a grant presently for how to produce low cholesterol bods. I'm having that grant. And I know they told us in Abuja that we are waiting to see the product in market. We argued it and we gave the whole pathway. That this is the pathway, this is what this is going to bind. Once it binds this thing, the cholesterol production will reduce. So this is science. So mechanism is very easy. In fact, that is my own core interest as a biochemist, establishing how it works. It's not that it works, doesn't work. How? Yes, the VC asked something about patent. Actually, the VC said drug. I didn't produce any drug. Till tomorrow, I did. In fact, yes, did I do the clinical trial of the drug? And the first thing I want to say, I didn't produce drug. Yes. Yeah, it's drug. Now, what I want to say here is, I'm too smart to be caught on web. I will not tell you. I knew medicinal plant, doctor will not allow them to rest. I moved to medicinal food. What I produce, see everything I produce, I didn't produce any drug, I produce medicinal food, functional food, and nutraceuticals. Because I know doctor, clinicians going to hunt you in medicinal plant. So I've left that one for them. So I've not created, I created the association. We have, in fact, we are going to meet in Makurdi in August, Farmer Food Congress. Food with medicinal potential. So, and for dietary supplements or food, you don't need NAFDAC approval. Yes, sir, ma'am. Yes, we can discuss it.
This is just a way of evading the inevitable.
Yes.
Because you're calling it food, and you think, okay, let me not. I think you should also, whatever you're doing, do some trials.
No, I'll get there. I'll answer the question. We do trials. Okay, Fabusua is here.
Trials.
Did you do trial for your products?
I finish?
We did. State hospital, we did it.
No, there are stages of clinical trials.
Can I tell you, man, there's no, we were in the meeting last year with the Commissioner of Health in Lagos. There is no lab in Nigeria that can do complete clinical trial. No lab. Not lab in Nigeria. I'm telling you authoritatively that there is no lab in Nigeria that can do complete clinical trials.
So where did your incomplete one stop? Stage 1, stage 2, or 3.
You know, I raised this in somewhere. You know, Nigeria, we are so funny. When vaccine came, our colleagues here came with some vaccine. They said they are still testing it. They brought some from abroad. Within a day, it was cleared. Nobody asked questions. What did they do? Within a day, in fact, Professor Zebige called me and said, Professor Bob, look at what is happening.
But that's an epidemic era.
No. Let me not tell you. We also developed.
It's a pandemic.
We are working on a vaccine with Professor Oloke, the VC of Precious Cornerstone. We sent it to NAFDAC, to Third Fund. They asked for the progress. We get them the progress. What they will tell us that you should go and join VOM. We know what is going on. We know what is going on. We are on this stuff. You see, there are a lot of the political aspect is more than the scientific aspect. That's the truth. I told them, when people met me outside, I was in Italy. Right there when I was giving a lecture, they brought somebody producing wine, that there's a polyphenol expert here. The man had to sit down with me, how do I improve my wine for hypertension by virtue of polyphenol extract? Can I even shock you, man? Somebody wrote me from Canada. When we produce from UK, we produce some Iru. We now say that we use Ewe. You know Ewe? He said, please, how can I get Ewe in UK? That she saw my article. You see, let me tell you, all those bojo olorombo, science has gone beyond that. What we are doing is, science has gone, you see, I've asked us to work with many labs abroad. And I discovered that the bojo is too much, and that's the problem we have here. Majoring in minor. Protocols. Whereas, this thing, I'm not saying we shouldn't, the health concern should not be addressed. But what I kept on saying is that, okay, we say we should do this. I've said it here and I can be disproved. Tell me one lab in Nigeria that can do complete trial. That's why we call our own clinical observatory study. That's what we call our own. We call the clinical observatory study. Because we know we will do animal. We use human. Once we establish, I was in Italy. My host did human. I said, who do you use? He said, I use my father and my mother. I asked that, okay, this study, what did you use to do this study? He said, I use my parents. No ethical approval, nothing. Develop word. Anyway, I don't want to stay much on that anyway. So, we do some level. Where we do animals and we do some level of human studies. Like the HIV, we have done, we did animals. Later we went to human. And when we sat down again, we look at the result, we felt we need a larger one. We now agree that let us put up a proposal to raw materials research and development for a bigger fund, where we can use larger. In fact, some of the members of my team, they are the leading member of disease control in Nigeria. That let us now get a larger population. Later we had a lab in Turkey. Once we do our job, we send it to them, they help us to do the characterization. So, what I was at that most labs, when it comes to the phytochemistry, establishing the bioactive compound, most labs in Nigeria, they don't have what it takes. And I can be quoted. No labs. So, what we do is to send this somewhere else to help us to do that. Otherwise, there is no way you can publish those work in a good journal. Because they want to ask, we are in the area of structure, function, mechanism, explanation. So it's not just that the thing works. How did it work? It's not magic. So just tell us, this is the compound that is there, this is the functional group, this is what it interacts with, and by the time you come up with all those things, you will be able to explain those stuff. Then, somebody said how to assess my product. I think the only product I have more in market is the ginger and turmeric bread. The Zero Zobo is in my lab. That one we sell in the lab. No, in Akure. No. We have had some nasty experience giving it out to people to produce on our behalf. In my lab, I train people on entrepreneur. I have more than 60 students in a year I train on various product development. We train them every year. So, that is the one I know that is in the market. And when the guy was really active, you cannot even see it in a common market. You can only see the bread in a pharmaceutical shop. All those ginger, you see them in pharmaceutical shop, not just in common outlet. I think with that, I'm done with all the questions. I don't know. I think I'm done.
Thank you very much. 2 minutes. Participatory epidemiology, if I'm correct. Epidemiology is epidemiology. Public, participatory, so it's as good as you've answered the question. Because even when you talk about zoonosis, diseases of animals that are transmissible to man, everything you are talking about, groups, public, sit down and discuss several things that affect man and things that does not affect man. So thank you for answering the question, public, participatory. I think the only question I can see is from the one from Dr. Mrs. Fabusiwa, and I will not directly answer that question in order to avoid argument. I keep on telling you something. Public health protects the practitioners, the practice, and the product. Leave it or not, we will come back to this all next year and say the same grammar. Am I communicating? We will come back, by God's grace, to say the same grammar. And the Center for Public Health, the Center for Herbal Medicine will tell us a lot of stories. By God's grace, next year, if situation does not change and the concerns are not addressed, the secrecy is still there. We are not ready to accept the WHO definition of drug as drug, including food. So far, metabolism is modified. It's very simple. Public health concern will always call for it to be addressed. That was why I said when you say public health, you are referring to the national health system. When we say you are in for MBBS, your first 1 year is in the basics, is in sciences, physics, chemistry, biology. The next 1 year or 1.5 is in the area of anatomy, physiology, biochemistry. We should have given you certificate and go. No. In the next 18 months, go and be doing pathology. Your pathology, your pharmacology, and so on. Then we can give you certificate and go. No. You will go to where you are going to use it, which is clinics, which is patients. You cannot stop clinical trial at stage 1. It's not possible. You cannot. We will keep on saying the same thing. Public good and public health. Public health. Public good. Everything that concerns everybody is what we are thinking about in medicine. It's not only you. It's not only me. Because in our health, situation may be the same, situation may be different. So, can you see, Dr. Fabusu, I talk about the practitioners, and we can get it going along. Good. I talk about the practice, how we can get it right, all the recommendation. I don't think we have much problem about that. I think we're having issues on the product, and the concerns are always there. Otherwise, we can close our door and ask NAFDAC to close shop tomorrow if the concern of public health is not important. No. NAFDAC will always be there to protect public health, including your food that is fortified with anything that will modify metabolism. Don't forget, either you are catabolizing it or you are anabolizing it. Whichever way you are doing it must be explained, written down in total. Why do you think the technology is going front? You take something now, like artemisinin. They will tell you, Send a code to somewhere. Have you observed that? The code will come back and tell you it's authentic or not. That is, everything is explained. There is no secrecy again if you want to protect the health of public. We can leave it all, or we can take it. Otherwise, don't accuse the clinicians of not cooperating with you. No, it's not possible. It is not. We have to get it right from beginning. We have to be ready to do the norm, which is done all over the world. I showed us a map of the world, yes or no? What is being done outside? Yes. Protecting the health of everybody, we have to be ready to do that in Nigeria. Protecting the practitioners, who are they? Who license them? How do they get licensed? What authority do they have to be licensed? Who licensed the license? What certificate do they get? Where do they train? Even if they don't have formal training, we can do a mapping of all of them. Look at the traditional birth attendants. Are they not mapped? Are their work not being regulated? We have to follow that. Otherwise, whatever the traditional birth attendants does, then public health will not be able to explain if they are not regulated. So you can see, even when you get to the practice, the standard I talk about, the content I talk about, everything you have to explain, everything has to be regulated. Otherwise, our health will be in jeopardy. We can't afford mortality. We can't afford morbidity. We cannot afford excuse of our health being jeopardized. We have to get it right, the way it's being done everywhere. So the summary is that public health must protect who? The practitioners, who? The practice, who? The product, just like a public good. We have to get it right. And that is why it may not be so easy now. That's my huge dream. I think it can assist us to get there shortly in the nearest future. The first 3 years of the diploma program, the next 2 years of the preclinical, and the 3 years of the clinical, then we are ready to speak to ourselves. I want to use this opportunity to thank my teachers online. Professor Odukbemi taught me microbiology, Prof. And Professor Fatusi. Have a nice day. Thank you very much. I keep on saying.
Thank you very much, W.O. Adebinkwe. We've gradually come to the end of this program. May I, at this point, invite the Director of Health Services of the University, and who is also the Chairman, LOC, for this program, Dr. Olaide Afolabi, for the closing remark and vote of thanks. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Standing on existing protocols, I believe this has been mind-blowing and brain-teasing session. I want to thank our facilitators. The 3 of them did so well, and then we all have take-homes. I want to really thank the Vice-Chancellor and his management team, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, the Librarian, the Bossa in Absentia, the Registrar, ably represented by our brand new Deputy Registrar, directors, head of department, the deans, and everyone here, the lecturers, students, non-academic and academic staff. I want to say thank you to everyone that has graced this occasion. I believe we've gotten 1 or 2 take-homes. We have seen the perspectives, the views from the 2 sides, and the need to have harmony going forward and standardize so that the public health is preserved and therapy is also achieved. So on this note, I want to say a very big thank you to our director of the center, my LOC team, our secretary, and that's Dr. Mizogale and Dr. Salem City, and the other team members of the Center for Herbal Medicine. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone. This is our show for this period, and we believe that we'll go back to our drawing board, and everyone will also seek your indulgence to please give us points, give us what you want us to work on more and more as we aim at improving therapy for our patients and also improving what this school gives to the public. Thank you all, and God bless you. Thank you.
May I request that we all stand at this point and take the university anthem? Thank you very much.